Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Success Without Sacrifice podcast. On today's episode, we have a special guest who is a business owner, and she's going to tell us how for 8 long years, she carried her business, sleeping only 4 hours a night. And today, she actually owns 2 businesses, and those sleepless nights are long gone. Stay tuned. All right, everyone, we are back. Welcome to the Success Without Sacrifice podcast. We have a very special guest today, Jen, who is a business owner of not just one, but now 2 businesses, is here to talk about how she really broke through that status quo of, I think she'll tell us more, but after 8 years of sort of slogging through being that business owner who is like pulling your business along, she really decided there needed to be another way and, not be that business owner who's working 80 hours a week and doing it all. So for all of you women out there who own your own business, I know you're going to be able to relate to this, but even if not, stay tuned because Jen's got some amazing truth bombs to share with us. Jen, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, I'm excited. So why don't we just start with telling us a little bit about the companies that you own and a little bit about what you do, and then maybe also some context of what else you have going on in your life, because you're not just a business owner for sure.
No, not anymore, for sure. So about 10 years ago, I founded the company that I own today. And that's within the private education, early childhood education sector. We have 3 campuses, and we're working on expanding one of them, also looking at some site selection in other states. But yeah, like you said, we are also, my husband and I are in the process of acquiring 4 business units that are currently operating, which is a new challenge for me. Not only the business pieces, but figuring out how to work, do that with my husband. But between us, we have 4 kids, 2 dogs, and the oldest is 19 and a freshman in college, and the youngest, my daughter, is 6. She's going to be turning 7. She keeps reminding me she's 6.5, not 6. So we have a very wide range of ages between the two girls, really, the youngest and the oldest.
Yeah. No, that's a lot. Okay. So we're already all recognizing, for all the women out there listening to this podcast, that's a lot to have kids across that age range and be operating 2 businesses. And we should make the note that the businesses that Jen's talking about, they're 2 distinct businesses, like completely different industries. So you've had the one in private education for about 10 years. So tell us about what was going on in that particular business where, it started to feel more like a slog versus a joy, because that's certainly not why we start our companies. We start our companies because we have a dream and there's a lifestyle attached to that dream, and we have a passion for something. So what was going on for you that was making that hard?
Yeah. Well, like you said, when you start a business, you have all these big, goals and dreams. And I was living that, but I didn't feel that way. I felt very overwhelmed. I'd started being the business owner who is so involved and does everything from taking out the garbage to, filling in for members of my team when they couldn't be there, to realizing, over time, I couldn't be that person, but not really sure what that looked like. So I was trying to build my team of, management team, so they could help step in and do some of the things that I was doing. But I was still very involved in the sense of I was in that small business owner, small business mentality of I have to do everything or I'm not. I've worked myself out of a job, and what am I doing here? And I had some business partners at the time who were very successful in their fields, but they weren't really operations. And so, they just kept telling me, well, you have to be there. You have to be there. Your team has to see you working hard every day. They need to see you all the time. And we have 3 very, separate locations. So it's physically impossible for me to be there. And even when I was at, one site, I couldn't get anything done. I was taking work home. I wasn't enjoying the things that I used to anymore, and I couldn't really figure out why.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause your business is expanding. You have partners who are pressuring you, not intentionally, but they're saying you got to be there because that's what we all are taught. Right. But what do they always say? Like you're in the business, not working on the business. And then you're
Right.
trying to drive around to these 3 locations. Oh, and you have little kids to like, be home and take care
Right.
of and all that.
Right.
Oh my goodness. So how many hours were you working, Jen? I mean, was this sort of like a 24/7 thing or like what was going on?
I would say at least 60 hours a week. When you own a business, it never really feels like it starts and stops.
Yeah.
So I know that I was not sleeping. I was an independent mama, and have been for a while. And so, it was mostly just my 3 kids at the time and myself. And I probably got about 4 hours of sleep a night between trying to just keep somewhat of a household, even with part-time nanny help, and then working 60 plus hours a week. Again, just feeling like I had to continue to prove myself, or I just wasn't. I wasn't successful. I wasn't, the boss that anybody would want to have if I wasn't, just digging in and being that person who did the grind work.
Oh, and I can so relate to that because I was a solo mom a single mom for a long time. And
Mhm.
you I don't know if it was that way for you, but I just felt like I was on this bicycle and I was just like riding in place. Like every day was just like, if I can ride as fast as I can, maybe today is the day that I'll get like a few shreds of joy
Yeah.
out of the day. But everything else was like, I mean, you're doing things you love because yes, you're doing your work you love and you're with your children that you love. But at the same time, it just doesn't feel like it's coming together and it doesn't feel joyful. And plus you're freaking exhausted the whole time. Right.
Right. Yeah, I was absolutely exhausted. I mean, I look back and there were times where I wondered what I was doing. Like, should I even, be here doing this?
Yeah.
Am I worthy enough to be a mom of these 3 kids? Because I was struggling on every aspect of my life was a struggle.
Yeah.
It just felt like we all know that mom, or maybe even professional, that you just feel like they're flying in and out. It's a hot mess, and that they just, oh, like life's just busy. This is just how it has to be. That was me
Yeah.
all the time,
Right.
all the time. And I even when I would sleep, I still wouldn't feel rested.
Yeah.
It was like the Tasmanian devil a little bit. That's just how I felt, of just a hot mess of trying to work, trying to parent. I have a son that has, some special needs. And so that was a challenge too, of just trying to figure out what does he need.
Yeah.
And then forgetting that I had needs of my own that I wasn't even paying attention to, because, as a parent, as a mom, we're not supposed to acknowledge that we have needs.
No.
Mhm.
No. And as a high achiever, we have this pain threshold, which is pretty extraordinary, where most people are like, okay, this is crazy. We just keep going and going and going because that signal that says, girl, like that's a little too much. We just don't feel it. And plus again, then I don't know about you, but I always felt guilty. I'm like, well, but this is what I wanted. Like it is the life I wanted. Shouldn't I be enjoying? And then I'd feel guilty and beat myself up for not getting up earlier or not getting the laundry done sooner or whatever it was. Do you know what I'm saying? And you just get caught in the cycle. So, okay. So Jen, what kept you from just like walking away? I mean, it's a big deal if you're a business owner to walk away, but like what kept you from walking away? Is this something that you'd always wanted? I mean, you were telling me a story earlier about, your mom was a stay-at-home mom. So why not be a stay-at-home mom? Or what made you say, I've got to find a way to fix this versus totally change it?
Yeah, well, I think a little combination of many things, honestly. Ever since I was little, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't know any difference, except I knew that's not necessarily what I wanted. I was a little girl who would go to the department store and I would just almost drool over, the women's, the business suits, the pencil skirts, that kind of thing. I did not care about wedding dresses. I didn't care about, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. And so, when I did start my own business and it became successful, I didn't think I could ever complain, or I didn't think I could even stop to think,
Yeah.
I need to take care of myself. I had to keep going. And, at that point, it wasn't really an option for me to step away, even though I contemplated, like, how can I do this? What can I do differently? Should I try to go work for a different company? Should I sell my company? Should I hire someone to do my job? And I don't know. I go see what I can do, because I knew I had to have an income. I was really the only person supporting my family, my kids at the time. And so it wasn't an option to quit, but I did look at other options. I even like put together a whole new resume at one point, just because I'm like, well, maybe I need to have this ready. What if this just isn't for me? What if, my purpose was to get this business here and to sell it, and somebody else who knows more of what they're doing or who's more capable, can come in and do these things. That was my mentality.
Yeah. And, Jen, I'm so appreciative that you shared that, because I think as women, that's where we go to. We start second guessing ourselves, which we're trying to prove ourselves. There's that piece of that self-doubt that just, you can't help it. It gnaws away at you, because you're like, obviously sleeping 4 hours a night is not going to work for me long term. Like, you're going to hit a wall at some point. So, okay. So thank you for that. So what was the wall, or what was not maybe the wall, but what was the thing, was that, meeting your now hubby? Was that something that happened with your kids? Was it something that happened with you that made you say, like, I don't want to give up, but I got to figure out a different way?
Yeah, I mean, I will be completely honest in that I had probably several weeks where I struggled,
Mm-hmm.
like personally, mentally, just like, what am I doing? I mean, I knew for me the point that I could not keep doing what I was doing was when I started seeing a therapist, and I told my therapist, like, I would never do it, but I actually thought about, like, what happens if I just kept driving, off a bridge?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's where I was.
Yeah.
And something clicked of, like, I have to do something different.
Yeah.
And I remember, a couple of days later going to lead my team in a meeting, something I always enjoyed, something I always got a lot of fulfillment out of. And I left the meeting thinking, I don't feel anything. I
Mm-hmm.
always feel so fulfilled, and I feel like, yes, like, we've got this. And I came back to my office, which is actually, it's where I'm sitting right now, and I just cried.
Yeah.
And I thought, this isn't working. And I remember one of my many late nights, scrolling Facebook, I don't know if I was trying to find the answer at 2 a.m, back then, but I had actually came across, I think, a post or something of yours, and I had clicked on it, but I never had gone back and actually, like, listened to anything or read it. I just, like, it's out there. I don't really need it, And so I actually had this moment of, like, I'm going to go back and find that, because whatever it was, I don't even know who this person was, but it spoke to me. And she must have gone through something like what I'm going through, and I needed to find that. And so I did. I went back through my email that day after that meeting, and I found, I think it's the master class, your master class possibly, that I listened to. And then I booked a call, and then I sat back and I'm like, what did I just do?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Typical successful person, which is like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to have all the answers, and what have I done? And what's the ROI and all those self-doubts. But, and I just want to say to the audience out there who's listening, like, it is really normal as a high performer when we can't figure something out and we feel trapped, because that's what I'm really hearing, Jen. Like, you felt trapped. I can't walk away from my income. I have 3 children that I'm solo parenting. I have to provide for. I have this team that's relying on me and these people I love, but I'm not showing up anywhere in my life, and I don't know how to figure this out. And we start to just fantasize about, like, how else can we solve this? Well, we could just disappear, right? That's that whole, like, I want to drive off the bridge, or like for me, it was like, I always wanted to get in a car accident, like not a bad one, like just a bad enough one that would take me out for a few months. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes. So I could just, like, rest in a hospital bed for a few months. And then I had another woman once tell me on a breakthrough call, she's like, yeah, I wanted a shark bite. Or maybe it was one of our clients. I can't remember. It was like, I just wanted, like not a bad shark bite, but just enough of a shark bite to, like, give me a good excuse not to work for a while. because that is normal in our human biology. It is a signal to you that says the way you're working isn't working, and your biology starts shutting down, and so you start fantasizing about these other things. And so thank you for sharing that, because for anyone else out there who has thought that, it's super super normal. Okay, so you're at this point where, I mean, I have been there crying in my office going, what am I doing wrong? Like something's got to give. So you made the call, you jump in, and then what happens? Like give us like maybe tell us a little bit about what started to lighten your load. What did you start to learn?
Yeah. Well, at first I really had a lot of doubt. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I got myself into here. Like I remember saying to Jadine, like if I get in the, can I just cancel it at any time? Thinking like, is this really going to work? Um, and but she was great. I think the first thing that really clicked for me was realizing nobody's going to come in and fix me, that I'm not broken.
Yeah.
I have to do this work within myself and figure out how can I do this differently, because the first few weeks I dug in, and I kind of listened to some of the I don't know if it was podcasts or just some of the videos. When I was driving, I would just listen to them, thinking like, oh, I'll just kind of absorb it, and keep going. And nothing was really changing. So I believe I actually talked with Jadine again. I'm like, well, I'm kind of pissed because nobody is asking me how I'm doing. Nobody, is coming and saying, well, you haven't done this piece or that piece. And no, it was really kind of Jadine that snapped me back into reality of like, I have to do this work for myself. And I remember after that call, I listened to, I don't remember which week it was. I think it was maybe week 3, 4,
Yeah.
where, yeah, you have to get in, and you, something in your life, you have to make a change, and just something that feels uncomfortable, but you have to get in and do it. And for me, that was nagging my kids in the morning to get them out the door.
Mhm.
And we were thinking, okay, well, I mean, this isn't going to make a difference anywhere else except for here. I will give it a try. And I went, a week without giving my kids reminders. Hey, we're leaving in 10 minutes. Okay, are you ready? Do you have this? Do you have that? We're leaving in 2 minutes. You need to put your shoes on, that kind of thing. I just stopped. I just said, hey, this is the time where we're leaving. And I'm going to be walking out the door, at, I don't know, 7:55 a.m. or whatever that time was. And at first they just kind of, mom, she'll come tell us when it's time to go. She'll remind us.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And as soon as the next day I saw their behavior change and they were ready and everything was put together, like, okay, there's something here. And that was my like aha moment of, I'm going to keep digging in, and I'm going to do this, but I had to do the work.
Yeah.
It wasn't anyone coming to fix me, which is, I think, initially what I thought I was signing up for.
Yeah. Yeah. Let us come and just restructure your company, restructure your team
Yep.
for you and your life, and then you'll be fine. And it's like, but you won't learn anything in the process, and then it all
Right.
falls apart. And I think that's so great, Jen, because really what she's talking about when she's talking about this exercise she did with her kids, which is what we're doing, is we're saying, look, you have this human behavior, and we get caught up in these patterns, whether it's a belief, like the belief that I have to remind my children because they're so young. There's no way my kids could get them out of the house. Oh, you don't know my kids, and all the things we tell ourselves. And all of a sudden we're saying, well, let's just really challenge and get you doing something uncomfortable. Like maybe the kids get dropped off for school without their shoes. They'll probably remember their shoes next time when they have to go to the school office and wear like hand-me-down shoes, or, whatever happens. Right. And you started to do that, and you were like, wait a minute, I changed and I got a different effect from other people. Okay, wait a minute. And it's so powerful to realize, because that's what's going on in the workplace, right? Because then you start to change and the people at work start to change and your work starts to change, which is so awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay. So where are you now? So now I want to let's just paint the picture of where you're at now. So obviously, because Jen's been with us for a while, she's done the 8 weeks of Corporate Women Unleashed. And now she's been in Corporate Women Refined for what, a year?
Yeah,
Has it
just
been
over.
just over a year? And now you're like the power player, Jen. So like tell us because you've got a big, bold life now. So what's happened in all this time in the last year?
Yeah. So I have been able to not only dig in with my kids, but to understand more of my needs and my team, their needs. And just doing I would say the biggest change in my daily life is almost, hour by hour at times, just doing little check-ins with myself. Like, okay, am I doing good? Nope. Do I need to eat? Nope. Like, I know it seems so simple, but that's really where I had to start of what do I need? Do I need to get up and walk? I've been sitting for a while. Yes. Okay. Guess what? Came back. Now I can, knock out this report that I need to get done because I took that time. And so, really, the last year I've spent building my team up even more, my management team. And now it's getting to a point, or really has gotten to a point, that they don't need me to answer those questions for them anymore, that they know what their roles are. We have our scheduled once a week, meeting. I have my one-on-ones with the leaders on my management team, and that's it. Like, yes, there's going to be some things pop up here or there, but like last week I went on spring break with my kids and I talked to my team once when I was gone, and then again at the very end of the week.
Yeah.
And that was it. And now, my husband, we got married 3 months ago. When we got married, we ran off to Hawaii, didn't tell anyone we were going. And I was able to go and have a very, very small, 3-person wedding uh, in Hawaii on kind of a whim, and nobody really even had to know. I mean, I told one of the leaders, our director of operations, she knew that I was going. I was able to do that, and operations didn't shut down.
Right.
We kept on going, and now my husband and I are in the process of acquiring 4 business units that, like you mentioned earlier, it's very different from the business that I started. But we were able to incorporate doing some site review while we were gone on spring break with our kids. We brought the nanny with, and we were able to just kind of flow into work and then flow out of work and then go to the beach and then come back and, make plans for the next day of what that's going to look like, and, have breakfast with the kids and then go off and, meet one of the new teams. And
Yep.
it felt really good.
It's
Yeah.
just like you said, flow, because you can disconnect from work because you're not constantly worried about it and you're not holding everything up by yourself. Right.
Right.
Like, cause what I'm hearing is like, you literally went from sleeping 4 hours a night and running between 3, operations locally to like, now you're like going on your honeymoon and getting married and vacationing and focusing on a whole new business venture while your existing operation is just running without you.
Yeah.
They still need your vision, they still need your leadership, but they don't need you daily cleaning the toilet
Right.
or whatever,
Right.
sweeping the
Yes.
floors.
Yes.
I love this, Jen. I love this. And your kids are there. Okay. So how many hours a night are you sleeping now?
Probably at least 8 to 9,
Oh my
sometimes.
God.
I know. I know. It feels amazing. I feel like a new person.
So do you all hear that out there? She's taken on more. She's taken on a husband, right? Because that's beautiful. Yes, we have some help with the children now in a blended family, but you also have a blended family, which takes more energy. And you have someone else who needs you, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
you've taken on a whole new company and you have your existing company and you're sleeping more and you sure as heck look a lot happier, Jen.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah. And one of our business units just won an incredible award for sales. And it feels great to know that I helped build that team. And but I don't need the recognition.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I've never really sought that out, but just to be proud. We were at a large conference for one of the other business units that we have. And I mean, 1,200 people there, 1,300 people. Never once did I look around and think, do I really belong here? Because that's what I used to do, and I feel like as women, that's what we do a lot of, like, you look to your right and to your left of like, well, am I wearing the right shoes? Am I wearing the right thing? I didn't care. We went up on stage. I mean, spotlights, received our award, came back and, told the team, we're so incredibly proud of you. This is really for you. We just happened to be the ones that were there and received the award. And so it's just, that was a great feeling to know that, for one, these operations, these teams can, once you build them, they can just keep going. And I mean, sometimes well beyond what I could have done, had I done 12, if I was still doing 12 hours a day, plus, that we've hired the right people, we've built these teams, and they are just rocking it. And it's just such a different mindset than I had even a year or 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, and I think what's so beautiful about what you're saying, Jen, is it started with you. You had to change you, because until we start changing our relationship with work and our beliefs around how to work, we can't attract those people. Right. So if I'm working a 12-hour day and I'm sweeping the floors and cleaning the toilet, I'm going to attract people who need me to work 12 hours a day and clean the floor and sweep the toilet. Right. Because I'm not going to attract A players who are like, no, I need your leadership and your vision. Move out of the way and I'll make sure operations get taken care of. And it wasn't until, Jen, you were willing to say, no more. I got to find a new way, that you were able to attract the right people, create the right culture, but also role model, I think, of what you're really looking for, which is like, you can absolutely slay it at the top and be at the beach with your kids and have breakfast with your hubby, or all these different things you're talking about, but you're role modeling that for your people as well. And so they're going to feel rejuvenated. They come to work excited, and everyone gets more done with less time and effort.
Yeah.
Yabble. Like, how successful is that? Oh my gosh. It's like
Yeah.
a ripple effect, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, so happy for you. Okay. So what's next for you? This has been amazing to hear your story. So thank you. But what's next for you, or what's some advice you might have for someone else out there listening to this?
Yeah. Well, I'd say what's next for us is just taking, honestly, one step at a time. We have set a vision of what we want. And so we've started with kind of that end goal. And I think when you get out of working in your business and you're working on your business, that's really what you can do, is you can set that end goal and then you can work towards it. And so that's, I think, where my husband and I are at. If he still has a corporate job, I have, my company, but we're investing together, and we're growing businesses together, and that feels really good. And we want to keep doing that until it just doesn't make sense, anymore, or until we get to a point of like, what, I think we're happy where we are. Or, who knows, like maybe we'll want to keep growing and keep building more teams, or maybe we'll figure out that this is really what we want. This is where we want to be. But knowing that I don't have to work 12 hours a day and then come home and, be grumpy with my kids, that I can actually take the time to figure out what I want again. And that's something that I think the program has given to me that I would have never figured out on my own, is how to stop and figure out, what do I need? And then, what do I want? What do I want for my family? And not have to feel like I'm putting someone or something on the back burner in order to make that happen.
Wow, Jen, thank you so much for being here. I think your story is absolutely inspiring, and it really demonstrates what is possible for business owners. You don't have to sacrifice your life for your business. And I want to have a special invitation to everyone out there who is potentially a business owner, a high profile executive, a high performer. You know who you are, and you are struggling and feeling trapped, just like Jen explained to us. And you really are ready to get out of the trap, out of the golden handcuffs, and into a life where you can have a huge career that you love with ease. I invite you to book a call with our team. I want you to go to goodlifeinstitute.org/call. That's goodlifeinstitute.org/call, and book a call with our team. And in the space of 45 to 60 minutes on a completely confidential call, one of our coaches will meet with you for a breakthrough where we can discuss what's working in your career, what's not working in your career, and mostly where you want to go, and see what's possible for you, just like we did with Jen. All right. So go to goodlifeinstitute.org/call, grab a time that works for you, and we will look forward to chatting with you soon. All right. That's it for this episode, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Hi, thanks for tuning into today's show. If you want to subscribe, you can do that by clicking the little picture of me over there. If you want to book a breakthrough call, which you absolutely should do, you can click the button below or go to goodlifeinstitute.org/call to book an appointment to speak to us. I'll see you on the next show.